To many foreign lands he traveled to fulfill his father's command, running here and there and preaching everywhere that the kingdom of God is at hand.
Greetings once again, and welcome back to the Voice Out of Zion today. I have a special guest with us today that I really want you to meet and listen real good to. He's going to be bringing a lot of information to us, and his team are here visiting us in town, and will be presenting to you a lot of details you'll want to know about. His name is Ambassador Aviram. Ambassador.
Shalom, shalom.
It's my pleasure to see you.
My pleasure.
So, Ambassador, tell us why you're here, where you're from. Just tell us about you. Get a little feel for who you are and what's happening this weekend.
Okay. Well, as you said, my name is Ambassador Avraham BenIsrael. I'm from Virginia, and we're visiting here with Prince Asiel in Chicago. Our purpose for coming is my mission as ambassador in the United Nation of Israel is to, one, go out internationally and start to bring Israel together. When I went on my search, I found out that Prince Asiel was sort of the forerunner of being an international ambassador. So we've talked a lot about him showing me some of the ropes, because it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. So as we work together to develop our relationship, I told him that I'd run across another group of men that were exceptional in the area of government. A group of brothers that call themselves the Council of Peace, and they're bringing forth the government of peace. And we know that the Most High made an everlasting covenant of peace with us as a people.
Correct.
So I said I'd like to bring the Council of Peace, myself as a representative of the UNY, and the ambassador, well, we now call him the Prime Minister, and bring us all together and talk about a single message, a single voice going forth from Israel as a nation to both the United States government as a mission and the Israeli government as two foreign missions for us, the nation of Israel.
Okay. Well, why come together? How come we can't do that individually, separate groups, separate representation from different people? How come it has to be a united front, a united working together as one? Why is that important?
Well, first and foremost, it tells us in Scripture, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Yah, our Father, is one.
Okay.
So therefore, in order for us to be true to the Scripture, we have to become one.
Yes.
Secondly, if you are the Israeli government and you get one group comes to you to say, we're the nation of Israel in exile, and then another group says, we're the United Nation of Israel in exile, and then another group comes and says, well, we're the government of peace in exile, wouldn't you be confused?
Absolutely.
So in order for us to bring a united message and a united voice with one message, we have to at least talk amongst ourselves, because if we are promoting peace and promoting unity and we ourselves are not unified, we ourselves can't even come together in a room and have a conversation without it breaking into a brawl, then how can we be the emissaries for peace? World peace is only going to come through us, so we have to exhibit that which we're going forth to present to the world.
Yes. Well, that's a very good point. It's a good idea. You're here in Chicago visiting the brothers here of this community, the original Hebrew Israelite nation worldwide. Are they receptive to you? Are they interested in what you're talking about, or are they just tolerating you and what you're saying? What's been your reception so far?
Well, the reception's been phenomenal. First, Prince Asiel has been a gracious host. He brought us into the restaurant, fed us an exquisite meal, and has been very open in sharing his experience with us. I think that the main thing that I walk away with is that his experience is our experience. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
There's no way that, we can do what we want to do and ignore the contributions of other great men.
Okay.
It would be inappropriate, one, and it would be disrespectful to ourselves as well as to him. So I realize that I'm an ambassador in my own right. But I understand that he was an ambassador from the early 70s to the present day. So I came to him and asked for his help, and he was very forthcoming and very gracious in giving it, and very receptive.
Well, that's so important, because whatever you see, we know that the Creator gave you that sight. And it's something that can't be taken lightly, and it has to be embraced. Absolutely. So if the embracement is there from the Chicago team, my prayer is that you're going to definitely see much more embracement in the future on other areas of interest, and definitely working together as one.
Absolutely.
And that's the major goal here. And I want to say to the listening audience that whatever you're doing anywhere throughout this country, outside this country, it's so important that we begin to do just those steps that Ambassador Abraham has brought to the table. Coming together, breaking bread together, sorting out differences, and increasing our unity in whatever way we can. And these are the kind of steps you have to go through. This is what you have to do to become one. It may take some time, but we have to go step by step and go through these type of scenarios to become a collective team. And we're open to do that in Chicago. I know the ambassador is open to do that as well. And so let's begin to make those steps and transitions. Come to our cities and visit us and talk with us, and let's break bread, and let's begin to unify all Israel.
Hallelujah.
So peace and blessings, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to be coming right back with two other gentlemen that will be presenting to you some details. These brothers have a lot of facts and research they've been doing, and we really want to hear from them as well and see what they're talking about and examine that material to the point that we understand what we're going to be doing together in the future. It's so important. So peace and blessings to you. After this divine commercial is over, you'll see two more guests sitting right here with us.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
What's it like working with your family? Good question.
Right, great question. Original Soul Vegetarian was established over 38 years ago from our parents, so we're second generation owners.
Back then in the 80s, nobody knew what vegan looked like.
But if you say, oh, this is barbecue, they'll eat it and say, oh, it's good.
Original Soul Vegetarian has been an anchor in this community. At least 90% of our clientele aren't vegans.
It has helped the community a lot with being aware of healthy eating and healthier options.
Most of everything that we sell is sourced locally, and it's all made in-house because it's just not about food for us. Your health is your wealth. Just add something healthy to what you're eating. You're gonna feel better.
Why? Why?
Why are you following me?
Why my hoodie make me look suspicious?
Why does my music make me dangerous?
Why are people that are supposed to protect me attacking me?
Why are you afraid of me? Why Why do you think I'm dangerous?
Why do I fear the people who are supposed to protect me?
Why can't I make a peace sign without you labeling the gang sign?
Why does standing your ground only work when I'm on the ground?
Why do you show this photo over this one?
Why do you only stop and frisk me?
Why do you have low expectations for me?
Why can't I run down the street without causing alarms?
Why do you think I'm a thug?
Why do you assume I'm armed?
Why can I breathe?
Why is my mom scared every time I leave the house?
Why are you targeting me? Why am I a target?
Why?
Why? I know why.
And it has to stop.
It must stop.
Because I have dreams. Because I can change the world.
Because I'll make a difference.
Because I have a family.
Because I am strong.
Because I'm talented.
I have a voice.
I can find a cure.
I have goals. I can lead the country. I am determined.
I have a future.
Because I'm a scholar.
I am powerful.
I'm someone's friend.
I'm someone's brother.
I'm someone's son.
Someone loves me.
And because my life matters too.
My life matters.
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 Our lives matter.
And so did theirs.
They'll call it in the back. Welcome back to the studios of Voice Out of Zion Today. Well, we have two more guests here with us today, and our brothers came here from out of town. I want to introduce them to you and allow them to give you much more details about them, and we'll be examining exactly what they're going to be talking about in much more detail. Brother Yebniah, it's my pleasure to meet you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Brother Asiel.
Shalom, my brother.
Shalom, shalom. So, let's talk about where you're from. Let's start there.
I'm a resident in Texas. Abilene, Texas is where I'm from.
Okay.
I've been a researcher in both history and biblical history and the history of the Hebrew people for over 20 plus years.
Okay. Very deep, very deep. My brother?
I'm also in Texas, and I've been doing this over 20-some years myself.
Mm.
And I'm author of probably about 4 or 5 books that's recorded, but I have many more that hasn't been recorded.
Okay. So these books and the research you're doing, what is it really about? What are we really researching and talking about?
First and foremost, as Asiel said, we both have put out many works that are online, but basically it's centered around the gathering of Yahweh's people.
Okay.
And actually rebuilding the government of peace that Ambassador Abraham was talking about, and also actually putting forth a land claim to where we can reclaim the ancient land that is ours in Israel.
Okay.
And we set that forth in 7 directives in what we call the work that we call the Madad, and it's part 2, 1 and 2 of the Madad.
Okay.
So it goes into an extensive plan that we have actually presented to the nations as a proclamation and a notice that we recognize who we are as a people, and we're trying to raise our people to this recognition, and also go back and reclaim the land that was given to us by an everlasting covenant of peace.
Okay. And my brother, is it the same goal here?
Yeah.
Is everything the same? Are you from the same, representing the same organization, the same group, the same program?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the things is, as a people, our Father had given us a covenant.
Right.
And that covenant had been lost. But what the Father did, he knew in this time period what will occur through this covenant being lost, that he will rise up those of his people that will restore this covenant. Okay. And what he had done, he wrote this within us, because his kingdom was within us.
Yes.
And through that understanding, as we mature, we will bring that great gift that our Father put in us in the form of reality and writing. And one other aspect that I saw, because I believe in peace, was restoring his covenant. Every government has a constitution, but our Father had given us a covenant that was our inherent right, because that's our wisdom and that's our righteousness.
Okay, well, so your writings that you put together, so you got a pretty thick book there.
Oh, yeah.
What is that book all about?
Well, this was the first book. It's titled The Messiah government of peace.
Okay.
It's an administrative council process and procedure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I did when I saw the United States Constitution, I was, when I was introduced to the Torah.
Yes.
And what I noticed when I looked at the United States Constitution, I saw the same, governing laws that was in the Torah.
Okay.
So, the Father led me to take that understanding and bring it up to date to our people. So they can see that what they see pre-exist wasn't done away with.
Okay.
He had raised up sons and daughters in this time period that will continue the writings of the prophets. And so my job in this time period was to restore this covenant so they can have something in present. They teach you how to do, tell you about court cases,
okay,
how to do criminal procedure, civil case, family law, and where did DNA come from?
Mm-hmm.
Forensic was nothing new. And in this book, I give you a generalization, what our Father already had presented us in the beginning, because this is our inherent right.
Okay.
This is superior.
Now, is that a book that you can go to any store and just pick up or order from Amazon?
No, because something, this is sacred to us.
Okay.
We are instructed in the book of Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
You are to seek knowledge from the priest's lips.
Yes.
And so to truly appreciate that the work that we have put together as a council piece, you have to have a teacher.
Right.
And that's our job. We've been trained up to be teachers of peace to represent this kingdom.
Yes. Okay.
This government.
So you are actually teaching this material.
That's correct.
Okay.
And my brother, Yamnai, he's a writer, and he has done the same thing. He expounds and goes a lot deeper into it.
Well, tell me what angle you approach it from, Brother Yamnaya. How do you approach the material?
I approach it from the ancient Hebrew.
Okay.
Everything that we see, we know that our original language of our people was Hebrew.
Okay.
And so everything that we do with all of the versions of the scripture that we have had over the years, we know that in order to get the true essence of what we have received as a people, then it must be brought back to its original language.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time learning Hebrew, learning the different grammatical codes and arts of writing that were given to our forefathers in order to extrapolate from those scriptures prevalent means and standards and things that we can put forward back to our people in order to bring the law of the Torah not as an ancient thing that people have seen as something that's obsolete for this generation or this civilized nation, but make those laws relevant today and how they can actually raise a people up, not only raise them up, but guide them into the ways, into the image of their Father, which was our divine right and birthright, is to become in his image.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is to take the people back and make them realize that the scriptures, the Holy Writ, is their history and is not a religious book at all. And that has been the downfall of our people, is taking the Bible as a religion instead of actually being presented as a government, something that you can be guided by and actually will actually hold your leaders accountable as well, that they should be evolving themselves into the image of the Creator and actually reflect that to the people. The number one reason for the fall of Israel was its leaders.
Okay.
The leaders were the first to fall. And so therefore, if we can create a strong bond of leaders that will not stray from this way, as our forefathers did, then we're able to go back now and strengthen our people and bring them back from out of this so-called captivity that we're in right now, and exile that we brought upon ourselves. We lost our name, our dignity, our birthright, and even our land.
Yes.
And so the only way to do that is to raise them up and make our people realize who they are and give them back a sense of dignity.
So you're showing not just a connection back, but you're showing an ancient connection.
That's exactly right.
As well. So I notice you have a book also in a pamphlet in your hand. What is that material about?
Well, the pamphlet that I have here is, first and foremost, it has the two parts of the Madad. And as you asked, Asiel, we do have websites that people can go.
Oh, great. You can give those websites out, sure.
And one of them is www.eyesonTheTruth.com. Then Asiel has one that is www.governmentofpeace.org. .org is the name of that website.
Okay.
The Madad can be downloaded for free. I mean, you can download any material. We have both audio, where we're explaining in detail various subjects of Scripture in order to elevate the consciousness back to the realization of what this government is and the covenant. We go into detail in explaining the Madad a little bit deeper, because this was presented to the nations.
Right.
And so it kind of gives a general history of the ancient landmarks as written in Deuteronomy, that the ancient landmarks should never be removed that was set by our ancestors, which includes the land of Israel and the people of Israel who inherited that land by right of covenant.
Okay.
And so that goes into details into that. And we do this in two parts of the Madad. One as a part to show that history, and in 7 directives. And I wrote them in a directive format, directing the nation, not as just a people, but as a people, as a representation of a government that actually controls and actually has superior jurisdiction over all the universe, by the way.
Okay.
And we all, that's what Israel received. They received that from the Creator, the divine laws, as they call it, the universal laws,
Right.
in order to administer them to mankind, knowing that those laws were given to connect him back to a government that is in existence, that gave life to everything that we see, even in the universe itself. And so, and this pamphlet that I brought is just explaining our land claim, and the two concepts of that is reviving the days of Peleg in Scripture, which was the day when the lands were divided in his day to the various sons of Noah. And this is what this whole Madad is addressed to. It's addressed to the sons of Noah, which was Shem, Ham, and Yafet, which makes up the body of nations that we know today.
That's right.
But we're actually specifically bringing this claim and that Madad to the people so that they can be elevated and understand that America and the 4 corners of the earth that they were scattered to is not your homeland. Your homeland is actually in Israel.
Okay.
And that's what encouraged us towards Prince Asiel and the wonderful work that they have done, that Abraham has introduced us to.
Yes.
And it's been a pleasure to be here this week with him, seeing the struggles and the fights that he went through to actually elevate the people.
Yes.
Is very, very inspiring.
It's, and you really presenting some powerful information. I know he's happy to just have you here and to have you, to give you open arms and just to break bread with you. I mean, that was important to him because you're serious brothers. You're intellectual brothers. You're sharp, and you understand what day this is, and you're making that connection, that return back home. And so that's so important. When you're on that page, we can always relate because we're sewn into that now. It's important to go. It's important to make our connection back home and to show our people the light where they can begin to direct themselves now through the leadership and the wisdom that's being presented back home.
Yes, sir.
So that's the key factor of returning back. What brought you here, Brother Asiel?
I knew, coming here to Chicago, this is originally my home.
Okay.
And, I saw in my dreams that one day we're going to be in Jerusalem.
Okay.
And the seat of our Father,
Yes.
Yahweh.
Yes.
And so, but we knew we had to first bring to the consciousness of our people of this inherent right of the covenant. Because we know that through it, in order to be a true son and daughter, you must enter into that covenant.
Yes.
Because our Father is sovereign and he is our righteousness. But to be as him, we have to follow that covenant. And when our brother, the ambassador of Abraham, when he introduced us and told with Prime Minister Asiel, what he had accomplished, we was seeking to do what he was doing.
Okay.
But, Ambassador Abraham enlightened us. Why reinvent the wheel when it's already been invented?
Right. Exactly.
And so we all had something to bring to the table because, when the children of Israel left out of Egypt, they didn't leave empty-handed. So when we was invited here, man, we come here with a willing heart, with an open mind, bringing something to the table, and we have this willingness to work together because we are peacemakers.
Okay.
Like what you yourself say, you're peacemakers,
That's
you
right.
know. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Yahweh.
That's right.
And so as representatives of this peace, you know, when that door was open, man, me personally, I was inquisitive.
Okay.
You know, I want to see who this man truly is. This is my hometown, Chicago. But I didn't fully understood what a great man this man is and what he has done. I'm just going to say him. What y'all have done, y'all had laid a path where y'all had prepared a way for us.
Yes.
That would have took us years. You know, that's the love. Now, that's the same spirit that our Father had that he also bestowed on all that was involved.
That's right.
This spirit of peace.
That's right.
And what we have learned through this process, we learned that we ain't the only ones.
Right.
There's others out there like us. But it's through this time period, the time of the Messiah restoration, the Father's bringing us together.
That's right.
You know, and,
That's right.
and we all play a great key role.
Yes.
And so I have uttermost respect for him.
Yes.
You know, for what all the work that y'all have done, you know, I call y'all trailblazers.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
y'all, you know, you prepared the way for us. And so what we can offer, you know, it's just a part of the puzzle.
Right.
But together, we're showing as a unity that we can work together. It has to begin somewhere.
It has to begin somewhere. And we like to tell you that it's already done. Your presence here shows that you were brought here not because of a vacation or a trip, but you were brought here to see yourself. You was brought here to see somebody just like you, somebody that understands what you understand. And we need to learn from each other. We have to exchange information and do this according to the understanding of the times. In this time that we're in, it's so important that we see this kind of unity, that we sit down and break bread, and that we can listen to what you've discovered in your in-depth research, what you've wrote and what you've created out of the spirit of Yah within you, and you put on paper. Because you put it on paper so we can understand the next step. All these are the stepping stones back to Yah. So it's so important that we begin to bring in more brothers like yourselves to come back to Chicago again, and we create more stepping stones. These stones are steps back toward Yah. And what you're bringing is information that we need to make the next step up. The next foot goes up. So all what you're doing today is so great. I just want to tell you that we're just so happy that you made it to Chicago, that you didn't let something stop you from getting here. Because these kind of motions that we're making as becoming one, people don't want to see that.
No, they don't.
You see, they'll create every excuse they can. Is, well, you going to Chicago? No, not them brothers. You don't talk to them brothers in Chicago. Inglewood? Nazareth? You see my point?
Yes.
So it's so important that you make it to Nazareth, that you come to Nazareth, that you come to Chicago, and we meet and break bread together. So I want to take it a little bit deeper with the time we got left on some of your materials. So you wrote like a lawyer. I mean, you wrote the things down that deal with judges you told me earlier. Tell me some of those things that you talk about inside the book.
You know, what I try to do, what we all try to do, we try to bring the days of old up to date.
Okay.
You know, there's nothing new under the sun, like
That's
King
right.
Solomon said.
That's right.
You know, was DNA in the back in the beginning? Well, we show that. Was there forensic back in the day? We show it. You know, was there sheriffs back in the day? Was there coroner back in the day? But since we've been so conditioned to think religion, we can't see the trueness that our Father's system, way of law, is not religion, but it's a government.
Okay.
It's a way of life. You know, and what we try to do is show the people what you see, what this government have exists. You got senators and you got House representatives. 12 tribes will represent the house of Israel, each house of Dan, house of Reuben, and you got 2 elders per house, which makes up 24 elders. And if you go look up the word elder in Greek, it will give the word senator. So they make up Congress, you know. But the people was never taught this. And so what we try to do, we try to bring it up to the understanding today to show them our Father never did away with the law.
Okay.
but the ones in power sought, to erase it out of our mind,
Yes.
so they can take on what it was promised to us. We walked away from what our Father given us, and they stepped in our place to receive the blessing while we received the curses. And we're trying to take the blinds off the people's eyes so they can see, our Father always been with us. We forsook him.
Right.
And all he's doing is waiting for us to renew our covenant with him. And that's why we restore, so nobody won't have no excuse. Where's the covenant at?
Okay.
You know.
So you want to make that covenant clear.
We all are trying to make it.
Okay.
We're the messengers of peace, the teachers of peace.
Okay.
That's what Jerusalem means,
Okay.
teachers of peace.
And you know that's true. We have to be those messengers of peace. So tell me, what's the next step in your writings, in your expressions of the creative thoughts that you put on paper, of your research? What's the next step?
The next step is to, we wanted to see and forge a relationship with Ambassador Abraham.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is take the talents and the skill sets that we have and combine these skill sets in one voice for the children of Israel and the nation.
Okay.
So that we can move this process forward. We have been, the Madad was just a introduction for the land claim.
Okay.
But in talking to Abraham and Prince Asiel, much of this work that we started out on the groundwork trying to accomplish, many of the components that we actually needed are in place. All we really need to do now is combine our efforts together and come together with a comprehensive way to present this, first in a tactful way and a very peaceful way.
Yes.
Recognizing that there are people in the land that has a claim or that are actually presenting a claim to the land. But that doesn't take us, we need to, as a people, also put our claim in.
Okay.
And that needs to be factual to show that we are the original inheritors of that land by covenant. And we have a birthright and nativity to that land. And so forth, and put that before the nations, not only the United States, but the nations, the body of nations, and also to the nation of Israel, but in a peaceful manner, understanding that they were prophetically prophesied to be in their land to actually pave the way for the original people to come back, and we can be joint heirs in that land, living in it in peace, and restore it back to the beacon of hope for the world as it was set out to be from the foundation of the earth. Okay. And so that is the next step for us, is to set forth that claim, and then actually unify the people.
Yes.
Because a nation without people is not a nation.
Not a nation.
So we need the people to recognize that and recognize who they are, and that they have a culture, they have a nationality, and they do not have to be an other or in a lost identity inside of this world anymore.
Right.
They can be identified for who they are and recognize what their heritage is. And so the only way to do that is to set forth the land claim again, to raise Israel up and let them realize that they never received a religion. You received an everlasting covenant that brought to you an everlasting government that was to be in the image and likeness of your Father, the same government that is in the universe. Not only is that command in Genesis 1:26 just for man itself, but as Dr. Kramer in his work says, that the term image in Hebrew means not only the image of man, but also man and government must be in the image of the Creator, after the original pattern that was given to man.
Yes.
Nothing in creation cannot operate outside of the original patterns that were given for it.
Okay.
Nothing can be created. We have ordinances today in our society that tells you what you can and cannot build. So why do we suspect that the Creator doesn't have the same thing in the universe? And that Israel was given the command to establish that jurisdiction of the Creator on this earth. So when I heard the concept just today that Prince Asiel and the other princes, that they're not just thinking about, they already established a nation. They're looking at a world empire and a world conception of that, that it must be and teach nation that there is a pattern of government and a pattern of a way of life, but it was to come through Israel.
That's correct.
Not only Israel, but then enclose all of the sons of Noah that was actually bound themselves to that covenant.
Correct.
And if we can leave anything with the people, and that is that covenant is perpetual.
Yes.
And that everlasting covenant was done with all nations on the face of the earth. What nations have failed to do now is honor the oath of the nations and to adhere to that covenant, which divided this earth into the nations that we know today and the land that is here today. And we must recognize that war doesn't give you complete ownership or inheritability over land. Even the UN principle tells us that, that in the UN charter, that no land on this earth can be particularly owned or taken over by any nation through the conquest of war. Well, the land of Israel has on many occasions. But the people who were really inherited were exiled from that land. And we're saying that we need an opportunity to put our claim in, to state that claim, not just on biblical history, but also on secular history and universal concepts that actually identify us as the original people of that land. And that we need to go back there, not only just with a handout, but with the ability to self-govern ourselves. And that the world needs to give us an opportunity to do that and raise these people or people that have been oppressed for 400 years back to the realization that they are a people and they have an identity in this world.
So it sounds like you're talking about a new heaven and a new earth.
Yes, sir.
A whole new government structure being manifested by the people where it's tangible and they can live by it.
That's exactly right.
A new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, a new way of expressing ourselves in a divine manner, expressing the ways of the Creator where it's tangible and anyone can understand.
And one thing we want to say that this is just not a one lane type of thing that we're talking about. We're saying about a concept that will involve and engulf all peoples and all of mankind and all nations into this concept that we're saying. There's only one blood, as the scripture tells us, on the face of the earth. And that includes mankind. And what we're talking about is man coming in unity with their Father, their universal Father in heaven.
Right.
He gave us a pattern of how to live, and he gave us a pattern of government. It's just up to us to follow it. And we have to accept that there were people who were inspired to administer that in this earth. And there's no nation on the face of the earth that doesn't have a representative in every nation.
That's right.
Why can't we see that the Creator could not have a people that he chose for himself to be that example and representation of that government and that original pattern?
That's absolutely true. Brother Asiel, you spoke about this law being already in you. Elaborate some more on that part.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, he tells us the kingdom comes not through observation, but it's within us. We are treasure hidden in the field. And see, one thing, our Father had a plan for us in the end, in the last days. He knew if they knew the plan was in you, man, they would have got rid of you a long time ago. But what you can't see, you can't claim. So he decided to write it within inside of your DNA. At the appointed time when you became of age, that information will boot forth from within your mind. And then you put it in a form of writing. So when people say the law was done away, well, no, it wasn't done away with. Because if it was written in the book, he knew they was going to destroy the book. But what they didn't understand, we were the book. So he wrote the law within our DNA at the appointed time, and he rose us up. And one of the things I want to share about Israel.
Sure.
Israel is Isaac and Ishmael. They both make up Israel. Ishmael had 12 princes. Isaac through his son Jacob had 12 princes. You get 24 elders. They both are family. When we go back and look at the history, Abraham, Sarah, what was she? Syrian. Rebecca, all families. Divide the house? No, we're trying to bring the house of Abraham together. Abraham was of the Federation. Before he became the Federation, he was a Confederate. He went about just like we're trying to do right now, bring our families together. They're different assemblies as Confederates. But when he became a part of the covenant that was introduced, he became a part of the Federation. And that's what we're forming right now. But see, that kingdom that he has within you, man, it's great. They can't take that from you, man. They can take everything else from you, but they can't take away from what's inside you, man. And that's what I love about our Father. He wrote it within our DNA, the records in our DNA. At the appointed time, it booted up. When I was a child, I acted as a child, but when I became a man, you know, I followed the ways of our Father. And that's what we all of us that come together at this appointed time, even the men, the great men that are here, what I have heard come out them, we all speak in one voice.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. What does any of this have to do with sovereignty?
You want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, what it has to do with it, what people has to realize that a sovereign right is a birthright to every created being that was taken from this earth or born in this earth. Everyone is born with a sovereign right.
Okay.
But as we know, the sovereignty is just not a name. It actually encompasses a way of life and the way you can administer that way of life within yourself as an example to other people. And so when we look at sovereignty, you look at the Creator, He is the sovereign king over the universe. How do we know that? We look at what He creates, and what He creates is lasting. We look at His ways. One of the first commandments that we are told to embrace is to believe into Yahweh, into the Creator. And what we are teaching people is not just to believe that He just exists, because many people can lose focus of that with the day-to-day grind. Yeah. But seek the essence of Him. Mm-hmm. Look into the essence of this being that He displays to you and He gave to our forefathers. His example of who He is and what type of being He is. He's one who chooses to be righteous, and He displays that righteousness to us through the spoken word that He has given to us so that we can know who He is. So sovereignty is not just a name, but it's a way of life that we must live and uphold to. And that was the first thing that He gave to the nations. As you see, one of the first standards given in our Bible is that let them have dominion. Well, that dominion that was given to them was based on conditions, because all sovereignty is extended from the Creator Himself. Okay. There is no nation that can claim sovereignty without recognizing that a Creator gave it to you first. But He also set the conditions of that sovereignty when He said, let them have dominion. Well, in that let, which anyone who understands legal format, that a let is an irrevocable directive that you cannot disobey. Mm-hmm. But it has stipulations and it has conditions that you must adhere to in order to declare yourself a sovereign. Mm. So an individual must realize that sovereignty is not about what we say, it's about how we live and how we act and how we represent the Creator in the capacity that He has given us and the pattern that He has given us to live by.
So every word is important then.
That's exactly right.
Sound like you're saying not just listen to the word itself, but what is that word leading you to?
That's right, the essence of it.
It's opening up something else. Mm-hmm. What is it opening up to you?
It's the power that's in the word.
Okay.
He said, be ye holy, for I am holy. Mm. But how, the first thing, how can I become holy?
Yes.
The Father tells in the book of Psalms 119, He said, the law is holy and the commandment is holy. Mm. There's a power behind the essence of the law, and it molds you. When He said, I will make man in my image, the only way you're going to become as He, be as holy as He, you have to know the law and the covenant. Mm. And when if you're a lawyer and I'm a lawyer, now how you going to get over me over the law when you know the law? Yeah. That makes us one. And so that's what is so great about our Father, law, with His commandments and the statutes and judgment. If I steal from you, I know the result, what I'm going to have to do to make the restitution. Right. When we all know that law, you already judge your own self. Mm-hmm. It's like looking in the mirror at yourself. You know the wrong you have done to your brother. Nobody have to tell you that. That's right. Because you know that's the spirit. That spirit brings you one. That's what makes us one. When we know the same law, that our Father given us, let me tell you something. It don't differ because it's one law for all, for the native born and those who are in captivity.
Okay. Now, Brother Abnaya, you mentioned earlier about universal law. Mm-hmm. Talk about that some more. You mentioned about universal law. How does that relate to sovereignty, and how does that relate to it being within your inside?
Okay, we look at creation, and we look at the system that we have today. They understand that we have the system of canon law,
Yes.
We have the sense of natural law.
Okay.
And when man says that, what they disconnect people to is that canon law, and then we have what they call private law that we see in corporate law that comes together. But natural law, or nature itself, is connecting you back to the Creator itself. So the laws of nature, as they call them, are the universal laws. And these are the very laws. You remember when Moses, or Moshe, as his Hebrew name was given the law, he told the children of Israel, you do not have to go up to heaven to receive this, nor to the earth beneath.
Okay.
But the law that I give you is in you, it is in your mouth, and it is in your heart.
That's right.
It's in your heart now. This is a universal law, not just for Israel. It is a universal law that governs all creation. And it's called natural law.
Okay.
And man can't break natural law.
Okay.
Even our scientists today look out and they, through observation of their scientists, recognize that everything in creation is governed by law. But they don't realize that the law that Moshe was given was a law that operates on this physical plane that we're in a material plane. But as we evolve in ourselves towards the Father, which we will do throughout all of creation, we will forever be learning, evolving towards Him. The more we evolve, we are realizing that the more we grow spiritually, the law begins to take on a different operation. It's the same law.
Okay.
But it takes different operations in the spiritual realm. And as we go further into creation, you're going to see this same law that we're giving to Moshe just operating differently. So that's why we say it's a universal law. We will never stray from that law. Man had just been given it here, and Moshe gave a command in that law, do not change this.
Okay.
Because he understood that in this physical plane, it can become mutable. It can be changed by man. But in the spiritual realm, it's immutable.
Well,
there's no changing to that.
Well, let's open this law up some more. We're talking about, I think you mentioned earlier that we are the book.
That's right.
So if we're the book, then that also means we're the law.
Did he not say that in Hebrews chapter 10?
Okay.
Write this law into their hearts and into their minds.
So if we're the law, that means it said also that ye are for your children are for signs and for wonders.
That's right.
So that means that as you begin to move and act out this process that has to be done, you are setting the law in motion.
That's exactly right.
So the law comes back alive when you become alive.
That's right.
When you begin to take on the spirit of Yah and you act it out and you move throughout this earth plane, you're affecting something on other levels. Because now the base, the foundation, which is you, is in motion. That means we can change the course of things by acting out the prophecies, by taking charge of the prophecies, by being the people that we're supposed to be.
That's exactly right.
We will change the course of things that are already set up by others, that are already praised and worshiped by others. We change that course. Now, let's talk about changing the course, because that's what we're here for. We're here to change the course of things. We're here to change our people's course, to put them on a new course. In order to do that, we got to do something. What do we have to do to change the course, to be this walking law, and let the universe respond to that? What do we have to do?
I think the first and foremost thing is what we had set out to do with meeting here in Chicago.
Okay.
Is to bring the minds together. Those who have this spirit of peace and the spirit of compromise within themselves to actually bring this forward and make a change. We all realize that what we're trying to do is bigger than ourselves.
Yes.
So if
let me say something about that statement. We found out that what we're trying to do is ourselves.
That's exactly right.
You see, that was the part of the trickery, that we thought it was bigger than us. Actually, it's us. When we begin to act out the process, we become the main denominator of the whole picture. Because what you're doing is balancing yourself back with the universe. So it becomes you. You are it. You are the thing that they are looking for. You are the thing that's needed to bring the course back in order again. So it's not bigger than us, it's us.
And I agree with you because
We're the missing element.
Because this whole movement is a movement of return.
That's right.
And so I agree with you on that concept, because when you really look at the scriptures and what it gives, and when the scripture says that the beginning and the end is begetted in the beginning, and the beginning is in the end.
Yes.
It's a process that we're going through. Yes. We are recognizing and becoming cognate of who we were.
That's right.
Not what we are to become.
That's right. That's right.
We're going back to what we were.
That's right.
And once we realize who we are, then we realize that a lot of the things that have hampered us,
that's right,
like the concepts of death, is that concept.
Yes.
Is that we're raising ourselves up to a consciousness of who we were.
Right.
So I agree with you
yes.
that it is us and the universe, and many people are depending on us to wake up and realize what we were created for.
See, that's where everlasting life comes in.
Yes.
Because we recognize it's us. Now we know that in your son and your daughters, you're still here. They have your spirit. They're living life through you.
That's exactly right.
What you brought together. The DNA is nothing new, but except it's an activated DNA now that has become, because the times made it activated. We became imbalanced with the times that we're in, and our children begin to get fed from that same energy. And now they're being us. Even if they don't be us today, they're going to be us tomorrow, because their time is here. Our children are for signs and for wonders. What do you have to say as a wrap up to this whole conversation?
Hey, can I clarify something about us being bigger than this thing being bigger than ourselves? And it's what I was saying about the return.
Yes, yes.
When man realized what they were created for, I mean mankind, and that the concept of where we are today, when that becomes, and this is what we, like Asiel was saying, that we have spent a lot of the years of our time to discovering and trying to realize what was the purpose for man.
Okay.
When one of the scriptures said, why is the Creator, our Father, why are you even mindful of man? And all of the debilitating degrees that we see in the diversity across this world of man, why is the Creator even mindful of mankind?
Yes, right.
That should make anyone out here in this world think within themselves that our lives is not from the cradle to the grave.
That's right.
There was a purpose that was set forth by a creator,
that's right,
an infinite mind who spoke this into existence.
Right.
We're going somewhere, and we have a great responsibility to go to. That's what I want to raise those who will rise up Israel.
Yes.
Israel must be. When he went into Egypt, he told Pharaoh, let my firstborn go, my son go.
Yes.
Because he has a purpose for that.
That's right.
To be an example. But then from that, raise mankind back to who they really are. That's and what they were created for. So I think what I mean by this purpose is bigger than what we could ever dream of. Because we right now, we don't really know what we're going to become.
We don't know who we are.
That's right. But we always know we're going to be as he is.
That's right. That's right.
In whatever capacity that he has for us. That's and it's huge. It's unfathomable to us, and we can't coordinate it inside of our mind.
That's right.
But once we realize that we are here for a purpose, and it's a great purpose and a great responsibility, that's what we want to restore back to our brothers and sisters out in the world.
Absolutely. It's a calling back. Similar to what Ambassador Abraham said earlier when he said the prayer, Shema Israel, the Shema, one. Recognize that you're one. Recognize that you are part of the solution. You're not looking for the solution. You're part of the solution. One. If we just bring that to the table, that we're part of it, then we know we got to do it.
That's right.
What is the finality and the whole concept that you feel about this day and time that we're in now, and coming together as you came to Chicago and we talked and we not finished. We got a whole weekend here, just like it's Sunday. This is the beginning, right? But the whole concept behind coming together in one, what do you want to leave here with? What do you think in leaving here you should take with you?
A fulfillment of a prophetic vision.
Okay.
This is the seventh day.
Yes.
The day of rest.
Yes.
The day of restoration.
Okay.
You know, Yahweh gave man 6,000 years. Yahweh said, now this is my day. We ain't got another year. We ain't got another hour. Our Father is precise about his day because his day is holy. And if people who hear and understand this, they will have great peace.
All right. And we're here for what?
Peace.
Peace,
Love. Joy.
joy.
And abundance.
Listen, it belongs to you. All we have to do is do what? Claim it.
And embrace it.
And embrace it. I want to thank our viewers today for just listening in and watching and at home participating in the chats and becoming part of this. Because we depend on you to be one with what we're doing and to give us your opinions. And as we move forward in this holy season that we're coming into now, it's so important that the message is made clear. This is the first Passover coming up into the 400th year. So this is a very important season that we're in. It's telling us something. It's opening up something within us. It has to, because this is the season of the return. Thank you for listening again. And any questions you have, please leave those at info@voiceoutofzion.today. Tune into our broadcasts every Tuesday and Friday. And we may have more for you today or tomorrow because this is going to be a special weekend. voiceoutofzion.today. Peace and blessings to you. Keep listening, keep watching, give us your input, stay tuned. We do have the Pesach coming up soon, the Passover, on the 19th of this month. You're going to see our broadcast out there about that, giving you those dates and times. I want you to stay tuned, stay close to us now. This is a special, special season. We got a lot to tell you about. It's going to change the course of your life. Blessings to you. Shabbat Shalom.
We know that you hate each other, but the world, they must know that the salvation of all mankind is in Jerusalem.